But we begin with an India Today exclusive. US Assistant Secretary of State Nisha Biswal has sent out a very strong message to Pakistan. Speaking exclusively to India Today, Biswal said that Pakistan needs to do much more against terrorism. She has also said that America is working with Pakistan on action against India's most wanted terrorists, Hafiz Saeed and Dawood Ibrahim. In an exclusive interview to India Today's senior editor Gaurav Sawant, Nisha Biswal also assured that US has no problem in granting India access to David Coleman Headley.
Obviously, one of the issues where we share concerns is on the issue of combating terrorism. This is an issue where we have very deep partnership with India. It's also an issue where we partner very strongly with Pakistan to address the issue of terrorism that both strikes within Pakistan, as well as have conversations about how we can combat terrorism within the region as a whole. Well, this is an area of ongoing conversation between our two countries, and as I said, I think that we have seen progress in many areas. We would obviously like to see greater progress in many other areas, and so we have a very robust dialogue with our Pakistani friends about addressing those issues, and we are confident that we will continue to see further progress in this area. So we continue to work with our colleagues across the region, and including Pakistan, to address our concerns about individuals who we believe need to be pursued and brought to justice. And we will continue to pursue justice on behalf of American victims, as well as our deep concern about the Indian victims of terrorism, and we continue to work very closely. Like I said, I think we are seeing progress in many areas, but would we like to see more progress across a broader set of concerns? Absolutely, and that's something that we are working towards every day in that relationship. So we have continued to work very closely with India in our counterterrorism cooperation, and certainly in pursuing justice for the victims of the Mumbai terror attacks. And that is an area of deepening cooperation between our two countries. We all want to see greater stability and security for all of our citizens, for American citizens who are the victims of terrorism both at home and abroad, as well as the Indian victims of terrorism, and citizens across the region who have suffered terribly because of terrorist activities and organizations. And so a great deal of the cooperation and partnership in the US-India strategic dialogue and the strategic partnership is focused on combating terrorism and extremism. You know, you've seen that President Obama hosted in Washington earlier this year a global conference on combating violent extremism, and we're working also with partners across the region to support regional initiatives, so that we are focusing at terrorism and extremism in all of its manifestations and in a comprehensive way. And I think we continue to work very aggressively in those efforts to work with our Indian colleagues, as well as work in our relationship with Pakistan to address those very concerns. I can certainly understand the concern and the frustration in India, as there is in the United States, when we don't see progress fast enough and strong enough to bring to justice those who have perpetrated these very heinous acts. And the United States is committed to continuing on that path and continuing to work with our partners in the region to try to pursue justice on behalf of those victims.
All right, senior editor Gaurav Sawant now joins me from the newsroom. Also joining us is Hamza Amir. He joins us on the phone line from Islamabad. But Gaurav, you just held that exclusive interview, and the two big takeaways, let's just go through that and discuss that with you. The first being that America has no problem granting India consular access to Headley. The second being that America is acknowledging the fact that Pakistan has to do a lot more as far as tackling terror is concerned.
As far as the United States and India are concerned, the two biggest democracies, the largest, most vibrant democracies of the world, they are now coming together to combat terrorism, not just in this region, but across the world. And Nisha Biswal, US Assistant Secretary of State, is here to talk about the Indo-US strategic and commercial dialogue that is taking the relationship between India and the US to the next level. Now, that is what the two countries hope. In all of this, there is this 200-pound gorilla in the room, and that is Pakistan-sponsored terror. How do you deal with it? India, while Jammu and Kashmir is a bilateral issue to be discussed between India and Pakistan, terror is an issue that affects the entire world. And whether it's 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks or subsequent terror attacks, terror that's emanating from Pakistan has killed citizens of the world. So US is putting pressure on Pakistan. The question I had put to Nisha Desai Biswal was, why is it that America continues to give weapons to Pakistan when Pakistan continues to foment trouble in India, in Afghanistan, killing Indians, Afghans, Americans in this entire region? And that's where the US says that while they're putting pressure on Pakistan, they need to take Pakistan along to ensure that the state does not just come apart. So Hafiz Saeed, they expect Pakistan to do more. Dawood Ibrahim, they hope Pakistan will take action against him. As far as Zakir Rahman Lakwi and Zarar Shah are concerned, very clearly, Vedika, the important issue is Pakistan has to act against the perpetrators of terror. The world is watching and the world will not sit quietly.
Also, Gaurav, just take us through your conversation with her over access to Headley.
Now, terror cooperation is something where India and the United States are operating very closely, and especially post 26/11. Vedika, you'd recall, before 26/11, the US had some bits of intelligence, United Kingdom had some bits of intelligence, India had some bits of intelligence. None of it collated fast enough to prevent 26/11. After 26/11, they are operating very closely together. India was given access to David Coleman Headley. India wants better access to David Coleman Headley to unravel that entire conspiracy that was hatched in Pakistan, to know more about the involvement of state actors in Pakistan, and if there were sleeper cells in India who were engaged and involved in helping David Coleman Headley and Tahawwur Hussain Rana. Now, Nisha Desai Biswal said the terror cooperation between India and America is so good that whatever India wants should be provided, all legal norms in the United States being followed. There should not be a hindrance, and there will not be a hindrance.
Gaurav, do stay with me. That India Today exclusive being reported by senior editor Gaurav Sawant there. We will be speaking to him on the other developing story, this time coming in from the valley. Well, Srinagar is on the boil. Massive protests have been witnessed in downtown area of the city after the Friday prayers. The protesters raised the flags of ISIS, Pakistan and Palestine during those protests. The masked protesters even indulged in stone pelting and sloganeering. The security forces fired the tear gas shells to disperse the crowd. The protests coincided with the visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the state. Shuja Al-Haq now joins you live from Srinagar. Gaurav is also with us from the newsroom. Shuja, first to you, is the situation now under control as we speak, Shuja?
Well, that's right. At this point of time, we are getting to understand that the situation is under control. Immediately after the prayers, there were, there was a bout of protest that did happen and emanate from that particular area. But at this point of time, we are given to understand that it is calmed down. Security forces have managed to calm the temper down. But that doesn't take the, the bigger picture away from it. This is not the first time that these incidents are happening. It almost has become a routine now. Every Friday we see in these particular areas there are protests, and not only the protests, there are flags that are unfurled, sometimes Pakistani flags, sometimes IS flags, and today Palestinian flags also were seen unfurled in these particular areas. So that is something that is definitely a worrying sign for the entire security establishment here.
Shuja, do stay with me. Gaurav also with us. Gaurav, the big question that we were also discussing in our previous bulletin was whether the Jammu and Kashmir government is going soft on separatists.
But that is something that the Jammu and Kashmir government will have to answer, and clearly all indications are that the government is not cracking down on anti-India elements in this state.
Gaurav, in a moment I'll be back. Ravinder Raina from the BJP reacting to this big story. But the big question is, Gaurav, he's condemning the inaction by the state government, while ironically the BJP is very much part of it.
The Mufti Muhammad Saeed government is seen as soft on separatists and on some of these anti-national elements who are waving Pakistani flags. Now, one part of the government says, so what, it's been happening all along. But the fact that it's been happening all along does not mean it should continue to happen even in the times to come. Now, the government, or at least elements in the government, say that there has to be some kind of a pressure release, and this is the pressure release. But the security establishment is of the opinion that a spark neglected burns the house. Today you let them wave some flags and don't take action against them. Tomorrow once again they'll have access to weapons. They'll again start targeting the security forces, which they anyway have. The security forces, after painstaking operations and a lot of blood has been shed, Vedika, they've managed to ensure that Jammu and Kashmir is by and large terror-free. The number of terrorists who at one point of time were at least 2,000 within the valley are now down to less than 200 in the Kashmir area. So instead of now politically containing the situation and moving to development, pictures like these prevent development activities from taking place, and that is something that the Mufti Mohammad Saeed government clearly needs to appreciate in Jammu and Kashmir. It's not just ISIS flags. What is extremely distressing is that one of these Fridays they even had Lashker-e-Toiba flags on the streets of Kashmir, though only 2 pockets in Srinagar, but that still is a cause for concern.
All right, Gaurav, we'll keep coming back to you for more on both those top stories that are emerging, one from Jammu and Kashmir and the other on how Pakistan needs to do more to tackle terror.